After 2.5 years, we rejoin the journey through the Book of Earth in Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2.
So like you said in the intro, we're here with Season 2 with the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series on Netflix. This is going through basically Book 2, the Earth realm here, following a similar journey that we went on Avatar: The Last Airbender animated series. You get the introduction of Toph here in this season. You get them going through the trials of, going to Ba Sing Se and spending most of the season there trying to deal with getting the Earth. Avatar Aang is basically trying to learn earthbending here. He's trying to master all the elements. He's going through, they're in Ba Sing Se now and spend a good chunk of the season there, almost the entire season there, and just trying to get to the Earth King to let him know that the Fire Nation's army is approaching his gates, but not everything is, copacetic within the walls of Ba Sing Se. You got some nefarious things going on. And I got to say, aside from the jokes that people were making about the Avatar aging dramatically, looking like he just shot out of a cannon compared to what he was in Season 1 to where he is in Season 2 as far as his growth spurt and everything that he went through, I feel this was a pretty solid adaptation of the animated series in live action in this one. I actually wound up liking this season a little bit more than I did Season 1. I think they really have found their footing in what is a really fun season of not only the animated series, but the live action one too. I think this was a really fun adaptation of this book, and I had a lot of fun watching this. This was a pretty breezy watch when it came out. I was able to binge it all in a day. These are relatively short seasons. This season was only 7 episodes compared to, I believe we had 8 in Season 1, but we only had 7 in Season 2 here. Obviously, we got Season 3 right around the corner to potentially put a bow on this as well, like we did with the animated series. But I got a lot of enjoyment out of this season. This was a fun time with the introduction of Toph. Obviously, we love Toph, and just the whole time in Ba Sing Se was just a lot of fun to go back and explore again.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just give some major props to Miyako, who plays Toph. I think she did probably the best possible job you could do to bring Toph to life. She got the sarcasm. Yeah. She has the look. She had everything down. She wore contacts where she could barely see to get that blind experience. There's talks that she had to ask her co-stars for a lot of help to know cues and where things are coming from because of those contacts and everything. She did a fantastic job of doing Toph. She was really a standout here. And I got to give props to Paul Sun-Hyung Lee as Ira. He was just amazing. He was great in Season 1, but Season 2, you really got to get a lot more deeper emotion with him because Ba Sing Se is something that is a very hard place for him to end up finding himself being in because of what he did to the place while he was part of the Fire Nation. But yeah, Season 2 really, really improved a lot from Season 1 because it got to what most people loved the best about the animated series was that heart, soul, emotion, and the relationships. That the relationships of these characters and their journey and struggles that they went through is what really made that series special. And you got that journey in Season 2. You have Aang dealing with the immense pressure that he's dealing with and being a little too trusting and just finding out the weird craziness of Ba Sing Se because, they were ravaged by the Fire Nation years ago, so they built gigantic walls around themselves, and they basically act like the outside world doesn't exist. No one leaves the city. Once you're in, and you're not going anywhere, and everyone who's in charge is acting like, oh, there's no war, there's nothing else going on. We're all perfectly safe. This is the perfect city. There's nothing wrong, nothing going on. And in a way, it was good because it protected them, but it also caused a lot of shiftiness and issues and stuff in there. But it was it's a good backdrop from, Season 2 of the animated series to really nail home those emotions because you got Zuko dealing with a lot of stuff, and he was heavily featured as he should be in Season 2 here because he's trying to figure out, am I still the guy who's out to kill the Avatar and prove his father wrong, or is he finally trying to see how bad and wrong everything that his family and the Fire Nation did was wrong? And he really deals with a lot, which I think was really well acted by him in here, that he did a really good job. We got to see the Blue Spirit. We got to see a lot out of him. He had to carry a lot in this season, and I think he did a fantastic job as well.
Oh, yeah, they really captured that essence of Zuko having probably the most character progression of anybody throughout the entire series, because he goes from basically the main villain to a sympathetic kind of anti-hero, because he's still out doing good things, but he's still a bad guy, but he's a lot more complicated and complex than that. And you get to see the continued journey of that. Dallas Liu did a fantastic job of bringing that to life here in this season, because you see it where he's stopping and helping people, and he becomes, the night vigilante of sorts in Ba Sing Se when he gets there. And I love Uncle Iroh too. Uncle Iroh was my personal favorite character from the animated series.
Me too.
Love Uncle Iroh, and you get to see that character growth from him here too, where he falls in love with making tea for people and, opening his own business and doing his own things and trying to help guide Zuko to a better path, that he sees the good in him as he's also trying to find the good within himself. And that's a fun journey that those two characters go on in this. And then obviously you have, the Avatar crew here with Sokka and Katara and Aang out to, help Aang learn earthbending and master all these elements to stop the Fire Nation that we'll eventually get to in Season 3 and Book 3, that you get those incredible battles. But you also have the other main thread of this is Azula and her kind of wanting to prove herself and still, prove that she was worthy of being the one that her dad could trust her to do the heavy lifting here if she needed to. And, her recruitment and her deception that she does throughout it, and dressing up as the warriors and doing all of that and infiltrating.
She gets that snark so well.
She's so good, man. Elizabeth Yu does a fantastic job as Azula in this season too. So there's 3 storylines kind of interweaving each other throughout this entire season, was just done so well, and everybody got time to shine here. And it was a lot of fun, because you get the fun, quirky silliness of Avatar trying to learn earthbending from Toph, and you get the silly episode where they finally get her to recruit her into the thing where she's basically running away from home, and they go to the fights in the one city where that iconic episode where you really find out Toph is who she is, and all that fun stuff.
The overtopness of the boulder.
Yeah, you gotta love the boulder. That was so funny. I was so glad they included that in this and didn't go away from it and kept that in there. And then obviously you get where she starts to learn metal bending a little bit. Like you get some really fun stuff from that season in here, and they just did such a good job of keeping most of that. Like obviously they're gonna make some minor changes here and there to kind of do their own thing with it, but you got most of the same story here in live action, and it was just done in such a well done way that I really feel like they found their footing now with this show, where season 1 definitely had its hiccups and had some things and had some issues with it. You can go in our archives and check out our episode on that from where we reviewed the first season and talked about it, but I really feel like they've taken a big step up in production and quality and everything like that in season 2 that really feels like it's hitting its stride. It kind of makes me sad that it's only 3 seasons, but it's going to be really, really good when we get to the Fire Nation season is what I'm really hoping when they wrap it up, because that 3rd book is fantastic. And this one is a really great step in that direction too. And it was just a lot of fun, man. I've had so much fun watching this season. It was a real treat to watch.
Yeah, and they end up filming season 2 and 3 back to back, which I think a lot of it was because of how much that Gordon grew up, because he is one of the younger ones on the cast. I think he's 17 this year, while the actress who plays Katara is 20. So he's a little, like all of them grew up, but he was the most noticeable because it doesn't feel like it, but it was 2.5 years in between the seasons. So that's why they had to change the timeline, and they poke fun at it in the show. Yeah. They had to change the timeline because there's no way in the original show's timeline that Aang would have changed that much. So they made it work for what that was. And yeah, you're talking about taking a 20-episode season of less than 30-minute episodes, but around, just call it 30-minute episodes, into 7 1-hour episodes. You're going to have things that are going to have to change for them to get from point A to point B in the way they need to, because of things they have to cut out and leave out because they're not doing the full run of everything in there. But I was not, as a fan of the original animated series, I wasn't disappointed in the season and how they told the story. Yeah, things were changed, things were left out, but they had that core that they needed to have with this season of the journey that Zuko went on, and that, Aang and his group fighting with each other over things, and the weird, odd quirkiness of Ba Sing Se with Judy and Lord Fang and everyone else. Like, it's a really awkward, strange city and time because of what they do, but I think they handled pretty much every aspect really well. Like, you just got a little bit of Suki in here, but she got some good moments with Sokka, and they had their time with it. You got some pretty epic battles in it because you got them fighting the sea serpent, and the battles and the fights looked really good when they were bending stuff. There was some rough CGI here and there. There's a point where Aang puts on some crystal armor that looked really rough, and you could definitely tell they were in a digital background. So some of the CGI failed them at times, but overall the bending and things looked really great. But I think you got some solid acting. They're still acting like the animated versions of it. So there's some that are a little bit more over the top, while you have some that are a bit more grounded. But yeah, as with you said, even I'm going to go back to him again, Paul was just fantastic to be Iroh, because that was a character that had a huge arc in the animated series, or Iroh, and he did such a fantastic job of bringing that emotion in core and heart. You see him sad and torn up about what he did, and you feel that through his performance. Like, he did a fantastic job of bringing in, which I'm looking forward to seeing season 3 with it, but also not looking forward to things in season 3, because that is the wrap up. That's us ending this journey, and they're ending it as the animated series did in 3 seasons and stuff. And they said they did it back to back, so hopefully Gordon wouldn't probably grow again and stuff. So we should see that sometime in 2027. You don't know with the CGI and everything else how long it's going to take, because they finished in late 2025 with both of them. Of course, they had to take care of season 2 before they got to season 3. So you think maybe spring might be pushing it, but maybe summer to fall you could end up getting it. I mean, we got this in the summer, so maybe we'll get season 3 in the summer. But yeah, season 2 fixed a lot of the issues that season 1 had. It's still got its problems from changes and everything else. It does, but it's never going to be. And that's what I think a lot of the Avatar animated series fans have to try to get over, is it was never going to be a one-to-one adaptation. It's going to make changes. It's going to do things right. It's going to do things wrong. But overall, it got that heart, emotion, soul, and progression of those relationships done in a way that I felt very satisfied after the season ended.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's hard to do a show like that in live action. It's very hard to do a movie like that, as M. Night Shyamalan proved. Like
very expensive.
The Last Airbender movie was god awful. I have no problem in saying that. Didn't like it one bit. Love the animated series. Go back earlier this week. We just dropped an episode about Avatar Aang, the Last Airbender animated movie. You can go see what we thought about that as well. Like, it's a good time to be an Avatar fan right now, because we're finally getting back around to some of these characters. And obviously we've got, the animated series that's coming out in the fall. Like, Paramount, like, which kind of up in the air what they want to do with Avatar sometimes, which, you can go and see what's up with that and what's going on with it. But this right here, a solid property. Like, it was really good, really well done. Like I said, they finally found their footing. It leaves on the right note as well. Like, I love the episode where they go to get the knowledge, and they go to the library, and they spend the time in there. And that was a fun episode. That wound up, I think, being one of the bigger things they changed about the live action versus the animation of the animated series, what all happens there. But still, you roundabout got to the same point by the end, but they went about it 2 very different ways, I think, in this one. But it was still a really fun sequence in live action as well. And then obviously you get to the end of the season where you have, Azula finally finding them in Ba Sing Se, and you get this big showdown where she winds up kind of coaxing Zuko to be on her side to fight the Avatar, and you get the big battle there between, Azula and Zuko and Aang, and, Katara is involved a little bit as well. And like, you get that big fight with all of them that leaves things, and it's spoilery. I don't care that we're spoiling it at this point. If you've watched the animated series, you know how season 2 ends as well, where Aang gets hit and he's in dire straits and in kind of critical condition, leaving on that cliffhanger. Like, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be fine? Like, obviously we know he is, but like, you leave on that holy crap moment at the end where he takes that hit to the chest, and you're like, not looking good for old Aang as they finally get out of Ba Sing Se. They find Appa, they get out of there. Like, it was like just very well done, especially that last episode was just so well done. I was just like, yes, great fight, great ending. It left on that same cliffhanger. I remember watching this show when it happened, and it left on that. It was like, oh my God, what happened to Aang? Like, now you got to tune into the next season coming in the fall. But like, you know, it was fun to leave it on that kind of cliffhanger note too. Like, it was fun. It makes me really looking forward to season 3 when they come out with it.
Because I enjoyed everything they did. I want more Toph. I want more of the gang. And it's been a while since I've watched animated series, and I still remember the majority of everything that happens, but it still was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this part. And oh yeah, that makes me really look forward to season 3. I am going to nitpick one thing about that prison in the end.
Here we go.
Well, so, because they did change things, like when Appa gets taken and thrown and when he rescues, but he rescues Appa, and slight spoilers with it, but if you know the animated series, you know the majority of what happens.
I'm breaking new ground here.
He rescues Appa, very easily opens a hole for Appa to fly out of, and then he goes and finds the rest of the gang, oh God, we got to find a way out. You're an airbender, and you just opened a hole using earthbending. Go through the hole. But no, we have to run through the rest of the prison to find this very beautiful open area that we can have a large fight. It's being very nitpicky, but it's something like, if you're using logic, like, go right back to where you just came from and fly out the hole you just made with your people. Can't go back.
It's always forward, never backwards.
That's like, I got to be a little nitpicky about that, because if you're trying to think logically about anything, even though it's still having a feel of an animated series in live action, it's like, or he could have opened a hole anywhere in that prison and gotten them out as well.
Listen, they're riding flying bison and fighting with rocks in air. Like, this is not the time for logic.
Don't find logic.
Logic has no place in this story. No, but I get what you're saying. But it's always forward, never backwards. You can't go back. There's no time. We gotta march forward.
What about that? No, we gotta go.
No, we gotta go. It's just so silly. But they definitely even had some kind of horrific elements, like the way they portrayed what was happening with Judy in there was kind of intense. Like, even that, I was just like,
torture.
Yeah, like psychological, like, programming and stuff. I was waiting for her to repeat the Winter Soldier lines to activate the Winter Soldier, kind of like, you know, just kind of where my brain goes with some of that stuff. And it was
technically, she did get activated.
Kind of, yeah. Like, it was crazy, but like you get some of that was intense stuff. And I was like, man, I forgot they put that in a kid's show. Holy crap, that was a lot. But like, you know, it was still just a lot of fun. Like I said, you get the character progression for Zuko where you kind of start to root for him a little bit, and you see what happens to him before he finally joins. Obviously, spoiler for season 3 when he joins the Avatar team. But you know, it's so well done that it reignited my love for the animated series again. I've gone back and I've started a rewatch of the animated series too, just going back and redoing it again, as I tend to do when these seasons come out. So it's been 2.5 years, like you said, since we got season 1. So it kind of made me want to go back and, like, maybe not go like every single episode, but kind of hop, skip, and jump through some of each season to kind of get to some of those moments and just kind of make those comparisons to do this conversation. And it's just such a good show that, despite the fact that it's been off the air for 18 years, which hurts my heart to say, it still holds up incredibly well. And it's one of those animated series that does kind of hold up over time, because not all of those series that are from back then age well. Even going back further than that, obviously, there's a lot of 90s stuff that doesn't age well.
You take that back.
It's still not all the stuff we like does. Okay. And
our childhood was perfect. Yeah, it's still perfect.
It most certainly was not.
No, it wasn't.
But we do, like, a show like this does age incredibly well, and it's one that can hold up over time, and you see why it has the passionate following that it does. And obviously people were super mixed about season 1. If you were on the fence after season 1, give season 2 a chance. I think it'll win back some of the reservations you had out of it coming out of season 1. Myself and yourself, it sounds like included. Like, we're just like, we'll see if they can get a little better with season 2, because even in, like, the animated series, book 1 was solid. It was okay, but when it got to 2 and 3 is when it really found its footing as a story, and you started caring more about each of the characters, and you got that progression, like you said, with Zuko. You got the backstory with Iroh. You got to see their growth and their, you know, unity and their friendship developing, and obviously, you know, Aang having feelings for Katara, and they poke fun at that the entire time. And you know, obviously we know where that ends up too, but it does such a good job of bringing that to life here, and it was just a really solid effort from everybody. And I'm glad they stepped up the quality of it in season 2. A significant step up from season 1.
Like I said, it had to nail in this season that emotion, that heart, that soul, that progression with the relationships and these characters, because that is the core heart of that animated series that made it so special. You didn't expect a quote-unquote kid show to have such hard emotion, depth, and relationship issues and problems and everything else like that. And they did step up with it. Sure, there's some problems here and there, and it's not perfect adaptation of it, but they are doing a good job of bringing a pretty complicated type of show to life just because of how much special effects you need, and you have to take some liberties and changes just due to the budgeting and what it's going to cost to do everything in live action because of just how massive some of these set pieces are and how over the top and crazy big that the bending and stuff can be. Like, you've got to take some liberties with it for live action, and they did a solid job with it. Like, I haven't gone back and done a rewatch yet of the animated series. I plan on it. I'm still not sure if I'll do it this year, if I'll wait until all 3 seasons are out of the live action, then I'll go back and just compare deeper just how well they did or didn't do, which could also change my feelings on how the show did. Because like I said, I started watching it when my kids, with them when they were younger, and I allowed them to kind of, I think I watched season 1 with them and allowed them to kind of take off and watch season 2 and 3 on their own, even though I love season 2 and 3. It's like, all right, I got you started in this world. Now you can go on and watch it, because I just didn't have time to sit down and watch everything with them like that. But yeah, they did a fine job with sticking to what needed to be done in season 2 with the Book of Earth. That they did Toph fantastically. Like, I can't see anybody else in that role now, because she did such a good job. Even as you mentioned, we saw the Avatar Aang film that has the gang in their 20s and stuff, and seeing how, you know, new voice actress handled Toph in there, it made me appreciate just how great Toph was in the live action series, because she did such a fantastic job bringing her life. She really had the look. She held her body in the right way. She did the bending moves and everything great. Like, she was just really fantastic at bringing Toph to life. It's a character that a lot of people love and have been waiting to see her in live action. And I honestly can't see how anybody could be disappointed in how they brought Toph to life in this. And yeah, she even got to do some emotional scenes and stuff, dealing with her mom and her family issues, which is a core heart of her, and that's an insane family and everything else. And but yeah, they did. Oh yeah, mom is just insane.
S tier evil, low key villain for sure.
Yeah, she's definitely an extra villain in this season and stuff. But yeah, I think overall they did a really good job, because I felt that emotional growth. I felt the relationships growing. You got to see, as you mentioned, the will they, won't they, are they kind of love between Aang and Katara that they're not quite ready to speak on yet. And Sokka dealing with his feelings for Suki, but also dealing with the heavy weight that comes from the feelings he had for another in season 1 that ended tragically. And he's processing that, and you get to see him deal with some of that, getting his own kind of monologue in the library of how to deal with kind of moving on from the past so he could move on with his future. And Aang dealing with the weight and talking to past avatars and feeling like he's still a young kid, and he still feels like all the weight is on him, and that he doesn't always have his friends doing what he demands, but he learns and grows from that you get to feel like, well, I can ask of them and they can be there for me, but I still have to let them be them and do things their way and how they want. I can't control them as much as I have struggled trying to control the avatar, the avatar state. They have to be able to be their own people, even though they're on their journey with me. I have to see them for who they are and what they are. And that's the core heart and soul and emotion of this series, is that. Yeah. And they did a great job of bringing that to life.
Yeah, they capture that emotion so well, especially in this season. Just a big step up in quality, like we said before. And, season 3 is just awesome. I'm so looking forward to the big fights that are coming up, and not only Aang learning firebending, but seeing Katara learn bloodbending more, and doing a lot of the
comet and just the Avatar state fights that are going to happen.
A ton of really cool stuff that I'm excited to see what they do now that it feels like they're in a really good place moving into this final season. Obviously, like you said, they shot them back to back, so I'm excited to see how they carried that momentum into the final season and really landing the plane on this series. It was definitely rocky in the beginning, but has really taken off and found its footing in a really good way that has me excited for where they're going to finally wind up with it.
Is the season 2 of Netflix's Avatar: Last Airbender live action show was a big step up from season 1. Season 1 had its problems. I still enjoyed it. It lost a little bit of itself, but I feel like it found itself again from what the animated series brought, of bringing that emotion, that heart, that soul, the relationships, and everything. Is it perfect? No. It still has some problems and issues. It changes some things, leaves other things out. It's taking 7 hours to tell a 20-episode season, so there's definitely going to be some problems and issues of things they left out. But at the core, I felt that it moved pretty well. They handled the emotion, relationships, and growth of characters really well. And by the end, I was satisfied with what they gave me with season 2. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. I feel like it was a solid season in the right direction that I'm really looking forward to see if they can nail and stick that landing in season 3.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 8.5 is right where I landed as well. It's got much more of the feel of the animated series than season 1 did. I really feel like creatively they've gotten this story and this world in the right place. I love the character progression that goes in this season, especially with Zuko and Iroh. They are some real highlights for me. I love Zuko's story. I love Iroh's story. Like, they're so fun and interesting and intriguing characters for me. Obviously, you have the Avatar gang. Love the introduction of Toph in this. I thought Toph was handled amazingly as well in this season. It's got me really excited for the Book of Fire that's coming up in season 3 and getting that rolling and see how they finish this series. It was just so good animated that I'm excited to see if we can keep that same energy and quality level high for season 3 that we got in the animated series. So really excited to see what they do with that, and hopefully we get that season sooner than later. Hopefully by this time next year at the absolute latest. Maybe we get lucky and they get a spring release or something.
I don't want to see it fall to fall.
Yeah, I don't
want
to see it, messed around with and delayed, because everything gets delayed nowadays. But since it's obviously done filming and they're working on post-production, you got to figure they went from post-production on season 2 to post-production on season 3, since they had it all done together. So like I said, hopefully we get that season sooner rather than later. This is definitely one worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I was really happy with, like I said, that progression of just bringing that heart, soul, emotion, and relationships. Yep. That's the core of what I remember and I love from the animated series, and I think they really shined bringing that together here, because you do have a lot to do in season 2 of him learning earthbending, of them traveling from where we left him in season 1 to get to Ba Sing Se, and all the insanity and craziness that happens in Ba Sing Se. And then you have the comet and you have the Fire Nation coming. There's a lot happening, and it balanced it really well. Like, I'm really satisfied with how they did season 2. Again, it's not perfect, but they did a great job of bringing that core middle section of the Avatar: Last Airbender story to life.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one worth checking out. Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2 is out on Netflix. Go check out all of the episodes. Let us know what you think if you've watched it. This is definitely one that we feel is a solid entry for all Avatar fans. If you're a fan of the animated series, come back, give the second season a chance. We think you'll really get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and we're excited for Season 3. Come let us know what you think.
So thank you so much for tuning in, and if you feel so inclined, do all the things to help the show out, from follows, shares, likes, and comments on social media to subscribing on YouTube and your favorite audio platforms. All of it helps us out so much, and we can't thank you enough for all the support.
You can also become a subscriber over on Patreon to get each episode delivered to you early, exclusive merch items, and your name read out at the end of every episode. Check it out at patreon.com/we'll bring the popcorn.
That's going to do it for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.